Frati Radio, this is Eran Riklis from the 19th edition of Rome Film Festival. I'm with Eran Riklis and Azar Nafisi, director and book author of Reading Lolita in Tehran. I have to say that while watching the film, the feeling that hit me the most was the fact that it was impossible for this professor and for everybody to live in their microcosm, and because freedom was more important. So even if for some of them their family life and their private life was okay, it was impossible to live in that situation. And that was something that really hit me, because maybe it didn't hit me before. So I was wondering, how did you develop this feeling? That's very important.
It's an interesting thought, because I think all our life, and it doesn't matter where you live, you have this sense of my life is okay. You know, I have no problems. I have a beautiful family. I have beautiful friends. I have work. I have money. And yet, here, just next to you, horrible things are happening. And I think we all tend to say, okay, but it's there, it's not here, it's there, it's not going to come here. But finally it hits you that what's happening there is actually happening here and can get worse and worse, and then you cannot feel comfortable anymore. And then you have to decide. Either you resist and you fight back, taking the consequences, you don't know what's going to happen. Or you get up and you leave, which is another way of resisting. You sort of say, okay, I have to step out of here so I can fight from somewhere else, which is, I think, it's the story of our human history. It's always about movements and counter-movements and, remaining, the magician stole a sentence from Azar in the story where he says to her, you will leave Iran, but Iran will never leave you. And that is, I think, the essence of it. You can stay and you can keep on feeling what you feel, or you can leave and you can develop those feelings into something else. Am I answering your question? No, but yes, okay.
How poignant was this feeling for you when you wrote that and when you saw it on screen?
The film?
Yeah, and this feeling I'm talking about, and how it grew on you and made you write this story and...
Well, I was curious how there were films I had seen which were made based on a book which I really disliked. So I was running into a dangerous area when I was talking to Eran about his ideas of the film. But we come from specific places, we have different beliefs, we have a lot of things that are different, but in the end, what we strive for is to have a decent life. And Eran talked about the things that we think won't happen to us that have happened to us. For me, it wasn't just the political things. Actually, the bad thing about totalitarianism is that it comes and it wants to conquer your mind and your heart. It wants you to act according to those. And every morning, I would wake up, I had to put the mandatory hijab, I had to be careful about how I speak, I had to not shake hands with a man, and my books were censored, my classes were watched. So every pore of my body was reacting to this system. It wasn't about a political thing that I vote and everything will be okay. I was trying to save myself. And the way that I could save myself, people have different ways of doing it. Mine was to write and to read. to tell the story as it happened, not as the regime fabricated. And I think that that is what Eran did with the film as well.
Do you think that literature in that case and cinema in this case can still create a space for freedom and do something about it?
You know, if I didn't believe that, I would not make films. And
Yeah.
I think Azar would not write books. I think you have to believe that because it's a process. It takes time. Sometimes it's immediate because you do something that, you know, creates a vibe within society. But I think we are, we are strong contributors to reality and to the wish to change reality. And I think that's what we always strive for, because again, if we don't, then what's the point? You know, so we can retire and live in Switzerland, but or somewhere. But no offense to the Swiss. But I think I really believe in the power of art. You know, I think it's one of the last bastions of freedom and of free thought and of resilience. And since we are the ones creating our own art, we have to believe in it. So yes, I think the short answer is yes.
Well, last thing, I was talking to this Iranian director who told me that he was positive about the future. First, because of women in Iran, they were really fighting, and also because there were a lot of men that were also fighting with them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know if you're positive as well, if you're optimistic.
Yeah, I felt very much part of it. One of the best memories I have was of seeing these young men and women side by side. You know, there were instances when men would wear the scarf and the women would take it off, you know. And the thing about this movement is that it is not like a political movement. It is about an existential movement. It is about fighting for life and for a decent life. And as one great Israeli writer talks about it, David Grossman, he says, as long as we can imagine, we're still free. And I discovered that through teaching, not just the class with the girls, but so many of my very prejudiced Muslim students, after reading a book, would become converts, would come and tell me, we discovered this book, we didn't know such things existed, you know. And I saw how imagination makes them want to change, and not just change the world, change themselves to become better people, you know. I have my best memories of Iran are those moments when my students, it clicks all of a sudden. They go beyond their limitations.
And I would like to thank Eran Riklis and Azar Nafisi for reading Lolita in Tehran, screening at the 19th edition of Rome Film Fest. And this is Chiara Nicoletti for Fred, the Festival Insider.